All right, my name's Art John. I'm an artist educator. I've been an artist educator for over 10 years, where I work in primary schools and in high schools, museums, galleries, all of that. And I want to create tutorials to help you deliver art sessions with confidence that are brilliant to your pupils or children at home. So yeah, that's what this is. If you haven't subscribed already, I would subscribe, because then you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. And I'm going to be doing lots of different subjects, lots of different topics. But today, I've decided that the topic is going to be landscapes. In particular, how to draw landscapes. I am so out of breath. Whew. Okay, let's go. So one of the things to remember when you start a drawing exercise with your class is that drawing is a minefield of pupils' confidence, and you will find the majority of the pupils, although they enjoy drawing and they look forward to drawing, they often get frustrated when they actually go to do it, because the images that are in their brain and the idea that they have doesn't often translate onto the paper. And I honestly believe that everybody can draw. But what you need to have is a bag of tricks to deploy when you come across a challenge. So in maths, or in any other subject in primary school, say for instance you're doing an exam paper and you get a question, what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, what is this question and how do I answer it? So what tools do I need to apply to get the answer? So is this a multiplication question? Is this a division question? It's the same with drawing. When you are challenged with a view or with a drawing that you are being asked to do, you need to ask yourself, what kind of drawing is this? And what do I know I can do to make this drawing work? Because essentially, drawing is a trick, and that's something that's really important to get across to your pupils. It will really help them with their self-confidence, knowing that drawing is not real, it's just a bunch of lines. Let me show you something to try and prove my point. So whenever I meet a new class or a new group of pupils, I like to do this. And I will go to the front of the class, and without saying anything, I do it completely in silence, I start to do what you're seeing below. After a few moments, you start to find that some of the pupils will start chatting amongst themselves, saying, oh, what is it? Oh, what's that? What's he doing? And then I will present to the class and I'll ask them a simple question. What is this? Now straight away you're going to have confident people shoving their hands up in the air, ready to tell you that it's a bus, ready to tell you that it's a van, ready to tell you that it's all kinds of forms of transport. But then you'll notice that one or two of the pupils, their eyes will light up as they realise what it really is. And they will put their hands up rather sheepishly and they'll say to me, it's a drawing of a bus. Now, I know just how annoying that is as an answer, and it's really patronising and silly, but actually it's really important for your pupils to understand that drawing is just a series of lines put together. And if you take those lines and you arrange them in a certain way, you end up with a drawing where people see a bus. Because as humans, we're really good at recognising shapes and patterns. So we mix that with our imagination and see things that aren't really there. If I was to take those same lines and I was to rearrange them into a different position, we might see a boat. And if I was to do it again, we might see a face, a house, or a landscape. And that's where the trick of drawing is really wonderful. A really important thing to put into your picture is the horizon line, which is a fancy way of saying the line that goes across the middle of your page. Now it's important because it will help you distinguish between the sky and the ground, but it will also give your picture depth and perspective. Now horizon lines are really interesting because they are themselves an optical illusion. It's a trick of the eye. So by drawing just a simple line across the middle of the page, you get to make your picture that little bit more believable. So if there is one top tip that I love to share with pupils, is to remember the three words big, medium and small. And if they can remember those three words, it will encourage them to add perspective to their drawings, which in turn will make their drawings much more believable. Let me explain. Okay, so big, medium and small. What does that actually mean? Well, what it means is that anytime you draw an object into your landscape picture, you're going to have one that's big, you're going to have one that's medium, and you're going to have one that's small. Here's an example. So I've drawn a horizon line straight across my page. That's really important. For any of this to work, you must draw that horizon line. And you'll notice that there are two objects in this drawing so far. There are clouds and there are mountains. Now all I've done is I've done a big cloud, I've done some medium clouds, and I've drawn some small clouds. So I've got a big mountain, a medium mountain, and a small mountain. Now when you combine those two together, straight away you're getting a sense of depth and perspective happening, but that's all above the horizon line. And anything that's above the horizon line always looks like it's far away. But we want to add more drama. We want to make that even more powerful. So we're going to concentrate on what's below the horizon line. Now I want to give this a sense of water. I want to turn it into a sea or a lakescape. So I've just drawn some simple lines, some straight lines. And just like I did with the mountains, I've got some small lines, I've got some medium-sized lines, and I've got some big lines. And that straight away gives a sense of depth and perspective. You can imagine being on a boat sailing towards this point here. Now, interestingly, anything above the horizon line means that the larger objects go towards the top. And anything below the horizon line means that the larger objects have to go towards the bottom. Now, this is a lovely, serene, calm lake, but what happens if I want to change the atmosphere of the picture? What happens if I want to make this picture more dramatic? Maybe make it so that it's a storm, or maybe make it so that it's the sea. Well, all you need to do is change the shape of the lines. So instead of having straight lines, now I just put wobbly lines in. It's the same small, medium, and large, but because I've changed the shape, it gives a completely different effect. It creates something that's a lot more dramatic. Now we can take this even further, and I'm going to draw a picture for you now, and it's not about how good the drawing is, it's about understanding the technique. So here I've got the horizon line, I've drawn that in, and I'm going to stick in my mountains, like so. When I'm drawing a mountain, by the way, I hold my pen or my pencil at the end because I want that loose, jaggedy feel. So then I've got my mountains, and I'm going to draw some big clouds. And then I'm going to draw a medium cloud. And then I'll draw a small cloud. So what I want to do is I want to have a picture that involves dry land, and I want to get a sense that we're driving towards the distance. So all I need to do is put a little dot there, and then I'm going to draw two lines. I'm going to draw a line from the dot to this corner here, and then from the dot to this corner on the left. So we've created a triangle. Now you can see that straight away that's forcing our eyes towards the center. So if I now just put in a small line and a medium line and then a long line that goes off the page, that straight away forces us towards the middle again. Now this is where you can start to add objects. So I'm going to do some trees. So I'm going to put in a large tree here. It's going to be a leafless tree because it is autumn after all. So I'm going to put in a big tree here. And then a little bit further up towards the horizon line, I'm going to put in my medium tree. And then on the horizon line, I'm going to put a really small tree. So that looks like it's really far away. And then on this side, I'm going to put three lines. I'm going to put a big line here. Then I'm going to put a medium line. And then I'm going to put a small line. And then what I can do is I can turn those into lampposts, like so. And what you can see straight away is that we've got that sense of perspective, we've got that sense of depth, and this is where we know we have understood the technique. So once your pupils have done this and they've really understood the trick, that's when they can start to use chalks or pastels and start to create more realistic looking clouds, more realistic looking mountains, more realistic looking trees. And that's something I'm going to be developing in another video. But remember, it's just a bunch of lines. All right? Now that was where the video was meant to end, but actually I wanted to add this little bit extra on because this week in my school in Sheffield I've been working with Year 4 pupils on landscapes, and we've been exploring these very techniques. So I wanted to show you some of the examples from their sketchbooks. Now these drawings took about 10 minutes each to do, but what you can see from the drawings is that the pupils really understand the technique. They understand the use of the horizon line, they understand the use of big, medium and small, and the way they've applied it makes these pictures look believable, dynamic and exciting. Now the next step would be to take these into collage, because I want the pupils to understand the importance of layering. Layering is really important in art because knowing what to put first, what to put next and what to put last is really important if you want your pupils to paint successfully. So we're going to go from drawing in our sketchbooks, understanding the techniques, to collage using torn paper, using cutting, using gluing skills, and that will then inform our painting lesson where we'll apply all of those skills to produce a dynamic painting. Now I'm going to be talking about how to collage the landscape and then how to paint the landscape from that in my next video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that little bell logo so that you get an email notification when I put the video up. And if in any way this video has been useful to you, and I hope it has, then please make sure you share, you like and you comment, because it really does make a difference. Alright?